and today I'm going to tell you about all the books that I read in May. I read 28 books in May, not too bad. I read 3 classics, 11 nonfiction, 3 children's books, 3 middle grade, 4 children's nonfiction, 1 YA, I reviewed 1 game, kind of with a booklet, and I read 2 graphic novels and manga. So first of all, let's get started with the classics, because you know how I love my classics. I finally read The Last Mohicans by James Fenimore Cooper, which has been on my classics TBR for a couple of decades, I guess, and I finally just got around to it. This is the story of 2 Monroe sisters, Alice and Cora. They are captured by the evil Huron Magua, and Natty Bumppo and his Mohican friends, Uncas and Chingachgook, have to track down the Monroe sisters and free them. The characters are well written, but I just didn't care about them very much. They're not very complex characters, and there was so much time spent in the action of the plot that we barely have any restful moments to really get to know our characters or develop any emotions for them. The plot does move quickly with lots of details that add to the suspense of the moment. However, the plot does get repetitive. They're captured and then they escape, and then they're recaptured and they escape again. And then some of them get captured and the rest of them escape and then come back to rescue the others when they are unfortunately recaptured and have to escape again. I knew there would be a lot of violence in this book, but wow, okay. There was a lot of really senseless and horrible violence in this book, and people getting scalped, and babies and children being killed. It was upsetting. I found the intricacies of the political relationships between different tribes to be really confusing because it was not explained clearly. It just wasn't explained at all. Overall, it was an entertaining read, but I didn't love it. It was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I participated in the read-along for The Odd Women. This book is mainly about 2 women, Rhoda and Monica. One of them is determined to stay single and the other one wants to get married. And they both have to navigate what that means for them in a Victorian society. I loved so many things about this book. The writing is incredible. It really pulls you into the story. The plot just kept me wondering, and every emotional scene is glorious. It's all about deception and ambition and love and betrayal, addiction and manipulation and jealousy and pride. It's not a happy book, but it's a very entertaining and interesting read. There are some really wonderful details that give the story a lot of depth. The characters are incredibly deep and they feel very real. They are flawed and they make terrible decisions and their emotions are all wild and unruly. Ultimately, I think this book is about contradictory ideals. The ideal woman of sweetness and femininity. The ideal man with courage and decision. The ideal behavior that is expected of each person, the ideal romance, the ideal marriage, the ideal society where men and women have equal rights. Every character has their idea of how the world should be. And then they are disillusioned with others and disappointed in themselves when no one can live up to those ideal expectations. And they are devastated to realize that they're only human after all, and they have to just muddle through with the rest of the masses. I really loved how many deep themes are explored in this book, and how the characters have such varied relationships and really different dynamics with one another. It's very dramatic, and I gave it 4 stars. I reread for probably the 10th time Under the Lilacs by Louisa May Alcott. Ben and his trained dog Sancho run away from the circus, and they are taken in by a kind family, and they have to learn to fit in with their new community. Rereading it again for the 10th time, I enjoyed it just as much as ever. I love the wholesome innocence and the goodness in this book. The plot is simple and sweet as they plan tea parties, They investigate a theft in the house and learn botany together. They stand up to the bullies at school and host an archery club. And gradually, they all become a family. I love the story and all the characters. It's just such a beautiful tale of building a new life and learning to trust people again. I always give this one 4 stars. And then I have a couple of graphic novels and manga to talk about. I read the 3rd volume in the Castle of the Stars series, which is The Knights of Mars. Seraphin and his father are working to keep the secrets of Ether out of the hands of the Prussians. And they're trying to track down the whereabouts of the missing Bavarian king. And eventually their search will lead them to the red planet, Mars. I loved this graphic novel from start to finish. The artwork is delicate, yet really bold, with beautiful colors and clear action, with hilarious character expressions, gorgeous designs, and emotional scenes. The story is full of suspense and adventure and family. I loved the friendships, the family dynamics, and the history that makes this a deep and emotional tale. I love the main character Seraphin more and more in every book. He's brave and loyal and true. He meets every challenge with intelligence and resilience. I gave this one 5 stars. I cannot wait for the next volume to be published in English. I also read volume 1 of Silver Spoon. I know I'm gonna say all the Japanese names wrong, so just pretend like I said it correctly, because it's really bad. Hachiken attends an agricultural high school, even though he has no interest in pursuing an agricultural career. All his classmates come from farming backgrounds, and they are planning to take over their family farm after they graduate. And poor Hachiken has to wake up early and take care of livestock and clean out the stables and gather the chicken eggs. His classmates are used to the early morning hours, but poor Hachiken is exhausted and completely out of his element. His one goal is to be at the top of his class and make perfect grades in every subject, and so he just studies all the time. This manga is really hilarious. I loved the characters. I loved seeing how Hachiken connects with his new classmates. The plot is interesting and funny, and I can't wait to read more. I gave this one 4 stars. All of the next books in this video are books that I received from publishers in exchange for a free and honest review. I read Deep Light by Frances Harding. Hark is a con man and a thief, and when his best friend Jelt convinces him to try a dangerous diving stunt, Hark finds the ancient heart of a dead god, and he tries to use the heart to heal his friend Jelt. But the heart is deceitful and begins to turn Jelt into a monster. I really liked the deep characters in this book. They are all really well written with interesting personalities. The relationships between the characters are deliciously complex. I especially loved the emotional character development. One thing that I appreciated in this book is that there is not even the tiniest hint of romance. There are strong friendships and family ties and loyalty. All of that is included and wonderfully developed, but there's no romance, and that was very refreshing. I loved the intense world building for this fantasy world. The whole magic system with these old sea gods is so intricate and powerful. I loved the history and the multiple layers of the world. The writing style is excellent. It really pulls you into the story. The author uses vivid words and imagery to paint a forceful picture. The only things that I didn't like in this book were the pacing and the multiple POVs. The pacing is far too slow for a fantasy adventure. There's just too much detail, and it slows everything down. It ruins the energy and the tension in the story. And I have a pet peeve about multiple points of view. The main character, Hark, has the POV for most of the book, and then the POV randomly switches to this side character, Selfin, and it was jarring to read the scenes from her perspective, and it didn't really add that much to the book. Some really good things in this book, some things I didn't like. It is a very entertaining read, and I love how imaginative the world is, so I gave it 3.5 stars. Next, I have some Next, I have some middle grade books to talk about. I have completely fallen in love with the Explorer Academy series, and the fourth book in the series, The Star Dunes, did not disappoint. I don't know how they keep doing it. How does Trudy Truitt keep just churning out these amazing books one after another, and everyone surprises me, and everyone is just gold. In this one, Cruz is in Africa, searching for the missing clues that his mother left behind for him to find after her death. The explorers help get medicine to a family of mountain gorillas in Uganda, and then they follow the clues to a desert region in Africa. The evil Nebula organization is breathing down their necks, and Cruz is devastated when one of his friends is targeted. I loved this plot. There is plenty of action and adventure and suspense. The exotic locations are amazing. And I loved learning about different conservation efforts in Uganda and other places in Africa. The fictional technology and all the fancy gadgets are really cool. And I loved seeing the characters and the locations brought to life in the beautiful artwork. I really enjoyed the writing style, which has some serious situations and then some lighthearted humor to keep things fun. The pacing is excellent. The writing kept my attention and kept me turning those pages. Once again, I loved Cruz's character development in this book. He grows and learns so much in every book so far. And in this book, his confidence has really grown, and so we see him willing to reach out and take more risks. I love everything about this series, and I gave The Star Dunes 5 stars. I read a fairy tale called The Princess Games. Emma and Laura Lynn are two peasant girls, one beautiful and one plain. And when the king and queen decide to adopt a princess, the girls become contestants in the Princess Games to win a place in the royal family. This book has a delightfully silly story with lots of hilarious characters. I loved the wit in the writing and the funny plot line. It's a simple fairy story, and it's just right for readers aged 9 to 13. However, this book is in desperate need of a copy editor. There were punctuation errors and grammar and spelling errors. The story itself is good, and the writing style is delightful. With a good editor, this book could be really enjoyable, but trying to wade through all of the mistakes just got on my nerves. Because of that, I ended up giving it 3 stars. Okay, now we're gonna try to speed things up a little bit because I still have a lot of books left to talk about. I read Celtic Mythology for Kids, Tales of Selkies, Giants, and the Sea by Christopher Pennard. I really love these myths that are retold for children. There are beautiful illustrations, and the rich Celtic culture is reflected in the entire design of the book. I gave this 5 stars. The next book is Weight Training for Women, Exercises and Workout Programs for Building Strength with Free Weights. I thought this one had a lot of really good information. I myself am not really interested in lifting weights, but a friend of mine is. She's an athlete, and so I got this book for her, and I gave it 4 stars. I read the hand lettering workbook, step-by-step instructions, practice pages, and DIY projects. This one was for me because I love this kind of creative stuff. This one has really clear instructions, it's very creative, there's plenty of practice pages, and just so many good ideas. I gave it 5 stars. I reviewed the Family Cookbook Recipe Journal, a blank recipe book for family favorites. I really loved the design of this blank recipe journal. I like how the pages and the sections are organized, and I gave it 5 stars. I read A Year of Mindfulness for Beginners, Daily Mantras, Meditations, and Prompts. Most of the meditation and prompts and stuff in this book are innocent reminders to release stress, focus on what's important, believe in yourself, and let it go. But then sometimes there would be a really weird one that would make me wonder about the underlying philosophy in this book. It is very focused on self, which I don't think is healthy. And it talks about connecting to an eternal consciousness. And then there's an entire chapter about interpreting your dreams that just sounded totally idiotic to me. I gave it 2 stars. I probably should have just given it 1 star, but it did have a few good things in there about just, learning to relax. I read Aromatherapy and Essential Oils for Healing, 120 Remedies to Restore Mind, Body, and Spirit. This one has really good information about using essential oils and some useful recipes for common ailments like the common cold or allergies, or if you have warts or something. And they also have recipes for beauty products. I gave this one 5 stars. I read Healthy Vegan Happy Body, the complete plant-based cookbook for a well-nourished life. This has really good advice about being vegan, and there are excellent recipes, and I gave it 4 stars. I myself am not vegan, but I got this for my sister, who is vegan. And then a book that I got from my mom, a 21-day intermittent fasting weight loss plan, recipes, meal plans, and exercises for a healthier you. This has wonderful advice about how to try intermittent fasting in a healthy way. And it has all the tools you need to stay healthy and plan ahead for meals and snacks. I gave this 4 stars. And for myself, I got the Self-Care Check-In, a guided journal to build healthy habits and devote time to you. This book gives you some journal prompts and activities to do that help promote self-care and happiness. I really love how this book is organized, and I liked the kind and encouraging tone of the writing. I gave it 5 stars. And I read Everyday Stress Relief, Essential Techniques to Boost Emotional Resiliency and Improve Your Health. This book provides practical suggestions for coping and dealing with stress in a positive and healthy way. It includes common stressful scenarios and how to cope and deal with each one. I really love that this book focuses on gratitude and resilience and being gentle with yourself. The writing gives really excellent advice for navigating strong emotions that can come up during stressful times. I gave this 4 stars. And another book that I got from my mom is The Toughest Sudoku Puzzle Book. 200 plus puzzles to sharpen your brain. I myself do not like Sudoku. I don't even know how to say it, so you can tell that I don't really care for these kinds of puzzles. But my mom loves these puzzles. She will do a few of them like every day if you let her. So I was happy to look through this book and review it and then have it to give to my mom. I really liked the way this book is designed because it has strategies for solving the puzzles, and it even has various different types of Sudoku puzzles that you can learn how to do, like different variations of the basic puzzle. There are also hints in the back if you get stuck, along with the final answers. I gave this 5 stars. I mean, I don't even like this type of puzzle, and I can tell this is really well designed. Next, I have 3 children's picture books, and I'm just gonna say the titles because all 3 of these got 5 stars. They're beautiful, they're adorable, the cuteness factor is through the roof for all of these. That's Life by Amy Dykman, Learn to Read Phonics Storybook, and Learn to Read Sight Words Storybook. And the same thing with some children's nonfiction and little activity books. All of these got 5 stars. I had Ocean Animals, a Search and Find book, Zoo Animals, my first animal activity book, and Mermaids, a coloring and activity book for kids. All of these are really beautiful. I mean, you think, oh, an activity book, whatever, but they have such beautiful designs and really interesting little activities and stuff, and the colors are really bright. I mean, these are really good quality, really nice little activity books. Like, you almost don't want to color in it because it's so nice. Like, don't mess it up. And finally, I read and reviewed a game. The game does come with a little booklet, and so I sort of count that as I read the game. I don't know. I don't know. Does that really count? Leave a comment down below. Does reading a booklet that comes with a game count as reading? Whatever. This is an Arch-A-Cards game. This is the Build a Castle version. This game has 64 cards that are designed to look like towers and turrets and windows. and portcullis and flags and shields. And when you put it all together, you have a medieval castle. Each card has little cutout slots so that you can, fit them together. And you can build a 3D castle in any shape you want. I could not stop playing this game. For about a week, it just sat out on the kitchen table and I just kept doing a new design every day. And every time that I sat down to deconstruct the one I had done the day before and construct something new, I just felt so creative. The design is so simple, and yet there's so much you can do with it. I love everything about this design. The colors, the cards, my creativity went through the roof. I love it. It's 5 stars. If I could give it 10 stars, I would. It's just such a fun, cute little game. I love it. And those are all the books and games and children's activity books and all the stuff that I read in May. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know, what have you been reading recently that you've really loved? Especially let me know, what have you been doing, or a game that you've been doing that has really sparked your creativity. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.